Okay, so thank you everybody for attending our short 2 o'clock webinar. I'm gonna be super in time, and I'm gonna show you the idea and the vision behind SmileFi and how we can do something very special. So first of all, I'm gonna start with the philosophy and the idea of SmileFi. Communication can be useless, comprehension cannot. So everything what we do and create in the SmileFi application is a different vision and philosophy. We don't work with patient files anymore because, in my opinion, patient files are or patient documentation is pretty useless. We need the digital patient, and the digital patient is something that is very important. We do have a collection of files from the patient, but these files don't help us much when we need to create diagnostics, to create designs, to create projects. What we have in our in the new system is the digital patient, and the digital patient is the most important part of workflows of the future, because I think the digital patient is super easy to be created, and we have every single file superimposed. It means digital patient is actually patient documentation plus calibration. So if we do have the digital head of the patient, we can create easily projects, we can easily analyze the situation of the patient, we can easily share the digital patient with our team members, and that's super important to have this seamless and easy workflow. I'm going to show how easy it is to create a digital patient, and then based on the digital patient, we're going to create a mockup. The mockup needs to be created in office, needs to be created in the first appointment, and the mockup needs to be created in a very beautiful and visual way for the patient to be interested and to understand the aesthetic improvements that we propose. So for that, I'm going to share my app screen. Here we go. So we are gonna create a digital patient. So I go to patient digitalization, and what I'm gonna do right now is very easy. If I use the desktop version of my SmileFi platform, I can drag and drop in the boxes the documentation that I need. Full smile, intraoral scan, upper and lower. And I'm going to use today also the intraoral scan. The intraoral scan, I drag and drop my files into the boxes. If I don't have the scan already created with the iPhone or iPad version, as you can see, the AI module already marks the lip area, the mouth area. So I'm gonna readjust the area if needed. It depends on the quality of the picture, and I can readjust the points super easily and super quick. And here we go. I do have now my patient documentation. As I mentioned before, the patient documentation is for me useless, because every time I need a file, every time I need to analyze something, I need to open a file and check the file. The digital patient is much more valuable because the digital patient has everything what I need. Tomorrow, we're going to create a smile with the CBCT model. Then we're going to create a file with the prep over the design. So all these files needs to be calibrated from the very beginning in the digital patient, and everything what I do, I work only with the digital patient. So let me calibrate the files, and that has to be done once when we create the new patient. When we have the records of the new patient, I create the first version of my digital patient, and I don't need to create another one as long as I don't, for example, finalize an ortho treatment where I need to take new pictures or new intraoral scans. 3 points on the picture, 3 points on the STL, calibrate. I need to readjust a little bit. Please consider also the fact that the pictures are distorted depending on what lens and cameras you use. So because I'm gonna create the mock-up for the anteriors, I'm gonna make sure that canine to canine is calibrated properly. As you can see, if we match the posteriors, for example, with the picture, then our anteriors are don't match anymore. That's because of the distortion of the picture. But 3D design, we use as a reference anyway the intraoral scan. So if the molar, for example, is not very, very precise, calibrated with the picture, it's not such a big problem. Other systems, other companies in the world, what they do is they distort the picture and they trick the perfect calibration actually, so that you have a picture that is exactly matching the STL. So now we have the facial and the STL calibrated, and we go now to the facial scan, and we calibrate also the facial scan with the picture, with the intraoral scan. So I'm gonna set the more or less the 3 points on the facial scan, and as you can see, I get a calibration between my files. Okay, so that's my digital patient for the moment. Digital patient, digital patient demo, save case. The new workflow is very, very unique because right now we do have picture, intraoral scan, facial scan. If I add a new file, for example, a CBCT, that's gonna be calibrated and it's gonna be displayed in the digital patient. If I do have a design already done, if I do have a project, smart simulation, 3D design, I don't need to do anything, because if I open the new project is going to be updated with all the files that I added to the old project. So I'm going to be able to redesign over the prep, for example. I'm going to be able to redesign with the CBCT and then get more and more information about the situation of the patient. So we do have the digital patient right now. As you can see the icon here, we do have the files, we do have the calibration project, and we have the digital patient. So, and now I'm gonna start the mock-up, and it is 2:09. So let's make sure that we get the mock-up in less than 10 minutes. In the first screen, because that's the idea, to offer the patient the first appointment mock-up. Based on our research, 50% of the patient don't come back if you don't offer them a nice idea of the treatment planning in the first appointment. So we try to keep the patient in the first appointment and to deliver as much as information possible, as much as information about the aesthetic treatment as possible, so that the patient understands emotionally the improvement. In this screen, what we need to do is we need to calibrate the perfect frontal, occlusal, and profile position. It's the same object, but it's displayed with 3 cameras, different cameras: occlusal position, frontal, and perfect frontal position. And we need to define the occlusal curve. That's the first important step, and it's very, very easy to do. Rotation, you make sure that you have the perfect profile The canines are behind each other. The occlusal with the midline at the palatal area is matching, the grid. And you have the frontal position also in the correct rotation. You can turn the symmetry off of the occlusal curve if you need to have a different occlusal curve on the right and on the left side. And we go to the next step. And I hope everything is working well, because that's a prototype that I have here. And we improve every day until the release. We improve every day the workflows so that we have a very, very optimized workflow and calculation of everything what we do. As you can see, that's a new and unique, already registered with the provisional patent and IP. That's a new technology that we have developed, and this new technology is called the 3D smile frame. So the position of the teeth is not random in space. The position of the teeth is not random in space. The position of the lowers, uppers, and the position on your for your mock-up can be defined by the smile frame, which you can, of course, adjust exactly the same way like the 2D smile frame, but the 2D smile frame has huge limitations. And with time, we're gonna just terminate the concept of the 2D smile frame, and we're gonna do everything with the 3D smile frame. So what we have here is we have the smile curve, we have the occlusal angulation, we have the height and the ratio, and we define the position of the new smile. If we define this position as accurate as possible, then we are gonna have a very, very precise automated result. So let's go to the next step. The next step is also a very unique and innovative step that we have integrated. You can select the number of posteriors. We're gonna go with no posteriors for now. And we're gonna create like the social smile, like the social mock-up, or we can go with the mock-up version where we have also the first premolar. As you can see here, what we didn't see in the frontal view, right? We have the frontal view. What we don't see in the frontal view is the accurate distal line of every single tooth, which we can define in this occlusal view by moving the sliders, and defining very accurately the width of every single group of teeth, canine, lateral premolars. That's a little bit too big. Of course, the distal line can be defined for every single tooth, right? And now we have also the correct width of every single tooth based on the incisal edges of every single group of teeth. It is super important to understand what you see in the frontal view does not match the occlusal view. That's why we need to go in different views and for every single view to set the correct lines. Because if you can see right now, we do have the correct incisal edges for the canines, but in the frontal view, it looks different, right? In the frontal view, it looks like the incisal edges, this pink line is outside. And let's generate the smile, clicking on the generate smile button. And here we go. After a little bit of calculation, we should get our mock-up. And it's 2:40. So with all the explanations and all the details that I gave you, we spent now exactly 5 minutes. Here we go. Why the result looks like this? The explanation is very simple. Our occlusal curve that we set and the 3D smile frame is set as ideal design, right? It's the ideal design. So we set it on the existing incisal edges. That's why if we go, for example, to just the 3D smile frame, you see the calculation, the size of the teeth, the rotation, everything is pretty precise. We're gonna also adjust more and optimize more. But that's the first result, which we can change when we move the whole design, for example, more buccal, more vestibular, and then we get the correct design and the correct calculation of our design. So that's the 3D smile frame. The 3D smile frame is a super important innovation that we have developed and registered already. And it's going to change the way we design uppers and lowers, because as a preview, what I can tell you is the position of the teeth and the dimension of the teeth is not random. So we don't need to move every single tooth one by one to place it in the correct position, because we can calculate the relationship between the position of the teeth. We can calculate with the smile frame, and we can place uppers, lowers based on patient situation and your adjustment, right? And your adjustment. As you can see, one of the important things that we have here is we do have the lowers also in this planning, because with the lowers we can analyze and see all the issues that are set. Let me for now just hide the lowers. You see we have the 3D smile frame, we have the pretty accurate position of the teeth. So now let's hide the smile frame and let's adjust the design for the mock-up. I'm gonna link the right and left side. I'm gonna go more, I'm gonna know it was the wrong one. I group them and I go one side. So now the right patient side is selected, and I'm gonna bring the whole group a little bit more accurate. So we need to consider the ideal design is actually right ideal, and the mock-up needs to be more additive, right? So, and then I'm gonna, right now, I'm gonna select the central, for example, and I'm gonna make small adjustments and adjust everything in my design. I like the rotation of the centrals. It's not bad for the moment. So let me adjust my mockup. Good. The first premolar. Also, I'm gonna bring it more mesial and actually more vestibular. No, I'm gonna more palatal. Looks good. Almost. Canine rotation is something that is more, you know, it's more adjusted based on the patient situation. And here we go. We do have the lateral, and I'm going to adjust the lateral also. Of course, the smile frame is going to calculate the position better and better. So you're not going to need to make big adjustments on the position. That's more the adjustment right now based on number one needs to be additive, and number two based on patient intraoral scan. Also, let me check. Also, the calibration of the templates I'm going to show you immediately is more and more accurate. So if you don't like the centrals, for example, you're going to be just able to exchange the centrals and to select different centrals for your mock-up, for your design, based on patient's feedback, of course. And I'm gonna bring the lateral here more. Okay. Okay, so here we go. We have the design now additive. We adjusted the design from additive more to, from ideal more to additive. And here we go, that's our design. I'm gonna simulate it in the mouth. And it is 2:20. So here we go, that's our design, that's our mock-up. Without this explanation, you should be really able to bring all this design in less than 10 minutes and to create the in-office mock-up, to print immediately. You can send now the design to the printer. And if you have a printer like a Nexten 500, the printer that we use in our courses, you will be able to print the mock-up in 12 minutes in office. Giving the patient the option to have a mock-up at the first appointment with all the procedures, with intraoral scans, with picture taking and so on in half an hour. Of course, it's a beautiful, different workflow and idea, right? Idea how to create this motivational part for the patient. Now, it's very important to understand that the design is now done and you can mix the templates, because if you can involve now the patient in the discussion. It took you 10 minutes. You remember back in the days, we had 10 minutes for the 2D smile design, right? And the 2D smile design is superficial. It's powerful, but it's superficial because it doesn't have anything to do with the mock-up, with the design of the patient and so on, which you can, of course, adjust now. This design can be adjusted over the prep. I'm going to show tomorrow how to import the prep in the project, and then how to recalibrate the design over the prep. And then you have two versions of this design over the prep and additive over the original STL, right? So now we have, for example, the GCP templates, but I can change and I can go and select, for example, the J01 centrals. And you see, I do have complete different centrals. They have a different energy. They have a different harmony for the patient. So you can select different laterals. You can select different canines, and you can create for your patient a very, very unique and specific design. Let's see, F02, of course, complete different energy of the centrals with F02. If you see that red is coming out, that means that our design is not additive enough for the mockup. So I'm going to link now the right and left side of the centrals, and I'm going to bring them a little bit more additive. And here we go. So now we have, for example, these centrals from F02, I think, and I can compare them with my GCP, different harmony, different design, different energy for the smile. You can export all the versions of your design. You can export to Mesh Mixer, to InLab, to Exocad, whatever you want, to the printer, of course. And then you can create veneers, you can create the mockup, you can create composite veneers, depending on what you're planning. But you can export several versions of your mockup. You saw I just select different centrals, and I have two versions of my mockup, which I'm gonna export, and I'm gonna create two versions of my mockup without the huge communication issue with everybody involved. So I own my project, and I can easily create this design. The design is also added to the digital patient, and now everything was done share side, and you have the option now to share the digital patient with your lab and continue the whole planning, right? So we have the digital, we have the design on the 2D picture, and we have the design on the facial scan, which is also super, super powerful. And you can now share this design with your lab. You can share the digital patient with your lab, and the lab can take it from here and print, design, prepare the case, what is needed. Of course, you can create the other way around also. You can let your lab or your lab technician create the design for you. You have the platform, you open the digital patient, you present your patient the design like this, right? You have beautiful ways also to explain more treatment options for your patient. Let's go, for example, with the lowers, and we see here the problem. We see here the starting problem, the situation of the patient, and then with our design on top. So you have a beautiful way to explain to your patient the design and the issues and everything what needs to be done. Here we go. So that's actually everything. That's the mock-up. That's the mock-up, the design files. I can export them. And that's the 10 minutes mock-up, in-office mock-up, involve the patient, discuss with the patient the design, the form of the teeth, the treatment. So let me import. Now, here we go. So I'm gonna change the screen. Here we go. And as you can see, that's now the exported files in the mesh mixer. And you can see here that's the design with the lowers, with the upper. So you have all the files separate. You can export them as mockup. You can export them as as every single file as an STL file. So you have the flexibility to export and to use the files for everything you need. If you reopen this case and you redesign, that's the beauty of it. Here we have design number 1, right? Design number 1. If you reopen the case and you go to your 3D design and you change the design, you're going to get a new version of the design number 2, version number 2. And in the digital patient, you have an additional layer of 3D objects with the design number 2. So you can just compare the design versions with one click. That's also powerful because then you can decide which model, for example, to print. Which model to print. Okay, so let me make a short summary. The projects that we have start with the patient documentation, but the patient documentation is not so valuable like a digital patient. Means we take all the records from the patient, we calibrate all the records, and we create the digital patient. The digital patient is valuable for us because we have all the layers included in one project, and we can use these files easily for everything what we do. If I design a 3D, I can check my design with the CBCT, with the intraoral scan, with the prep, whatever I have. And I don't need to calibrate. If I create a small simulation, I can create a small simulation, but I get all the files immediately in the project, STL superimposed with a picture, CBCT superimposed with the STL. So I have all the important information to create my smile as accurate as possible. Smile design with the picture is an obsolete workflow. Smile design with the picture has just one purpose: to motivate the patient to open the discussion to an aesthetic treatment. But if we do have the STL, if we do have the CBCT files already from that patient. Why not starting creating a design as close as possible to a final treatment planning, right? Because we have all this data, and when this data is accessible within 1 second, then we can make the right decisions. For example, how to design the veneers, where is the bone margin, is a gingivectomy necessary, and so on. And all this stuff can be shown to the patient in the first design, in the first appointment, and that's very, very valuable, because again, based on our research, you lose 50% of the patients when you don't give them the perfect image of an aesthetic treatment in the first appointment, right? Plus, we want you to have a tool where and you can design as accurate as possible. Every single step of this journey is so accurate as possible, and you don't need to guess. As soon as you start with the 2D design, with the picture, it's a guess. You create a beautiful image which has nothing to do with the treatment planning. But if you have the STL, if you have the CBCT, you can plan much more accurate, and so you can instead of guessing, you can show your patient much more accurate ideas of the treatment planning. Afterwards, the 3D smile design is based now on the 3D smile frame, and the 3D smile frame is an innovation of Smilefy. I registered this innovation and this technology with a provisional patent. This calculation is done automatically, and it helps us design super quick and to focus more on the harmony of the patient, harmony of the design, instead of struggling with the technology. And as you can, you saw, I was done in 10 minutes, but explaining every single step of the procedure. Then we can mix different centrals and create different mock-ups just to make sure that we have the best selected form for our patient, for the facial harmony, and so on. So I'm gonna give now the stage to Carmina. Are you there?
I am.
Okay.
Hi everyone. So thank you for showing us the 3D design. It's for the doctors, I believe that it's very helpful, so they can understand the workflow much better. Of course, they are going to have the chance to train themselves on the new updates, and they can see. And as promised, I want to show you the pre-release offer, and I can share my screen, right? Let me just go back. Yes. I already answered most of the questions. I do have one question from Dr. Janet, and I will get back to you after. Okay, so our special pre-launch offer includes the gold membership, the annual gold membership for $12.99. And with this, you also get the workshop, which is a hands-on training, a 3-hour hands-on training, and it includes not only the 2D smile simulation, but also the 3D digital wax-up. So you are going to learn how to design the digital wax-up, how to do your mock-up, basically, how to print, export, and it's going to be from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern time, Miami time. It's going to be on Saturday, June 12th. If some of you are not able to attend this, this is going to be recorded. So it's an online training. Therefore, you can also use it for your assistant. If you have somebody that you want to train in your office, you can use it. It's a valuable training that it can be used not only for dentists, but also for the dental assistant. Okay, so you can save, if you are going to purchase our gold membership, you are going to save $300 because you're getting basically the hands-on training for free. If you want to know more about our courses, or if you are interested in one particular part, you can also basically message us, or just call us on our support number. I'm also here if you do need any support. We do the one-on-one sessions in case you need any training. So yes, limited 2D and 3D exports as well. So what does the that's a good question. The annual gold membership includes 2D and 3D smile simulations. Um, if you go here to pricing, just gonna show you real quick. You get the premium support for the entire year. You get the 2D and 3D smile simulation on all the three platforms, which is basically the iPhone, the iPad, and the Mac version. Now, for the 3D design part of it, the 3D design is going to be updated. The app is going to be updated on June, the first week of June. So that's when the 3D design will be integrated as well. And then you also get the personal onboarding training session for you and your team, and the exclusive access to our live webinars, case reports, and which is basically every week we do our meetups to train you on how to use the app. But this intensive hands-on training is basically for you to, from start to finish, to understand the workflow and to do it very quickly. So you have basically learned all the workflow in one day. Um, so yeah, this is what the gold membership includes. Now we have two memberships right here. That's why if you want to get the annual gold membership, this is the price, and our hands-on training is gonna be for free. Okay.
Yeah, so let me share my screen and explain the features so that we have a summary what we have in the new platform and what we are gonna teach. So we have first the platforms: Mac, iPhone, and iPad. All three platforms work the same. You can design the 3D case on your iPhone, or you can change it on the iPhone, and you can design on the Mac. All three platforms have the same features. We have the patient documentation, where you collect the files, then you calibrate the files in the digital patient. You have the automatic AI smile design in less than 1 minute, the 2D. 3D smile designs also automated with more and more new features that makes everything easier. You have upper design, lower design, CBCT import, prep import, everything what it's needed to create for you upper and lower design. Then we have the CBCT viewer and annotation tools. And of course, team up, share the digital patient with your team, lab, team members, surgeon, with everyone. And of course, all the visual communication projects that and automatic documentation that we already have with the 2D smile simulation part, right? So if we don't need, or we don't want you to leave the system if you need something in the planning, so you can open the patient, the CBCT file from your patient, you can review, you can design, you have everything in one single platform to create quick and beautiful designs for your patient, more focused on the harmony. And we're gonna integrate everything what you need to have a complete workflow. So later this year, we're gonna have also the thickness measurement of your design, so that you can export for milling, for 3D printing anyway. So you can export right now everything in for printing, but also mark the margins from your prep and create the veneers directly in the app with the right thickness. So that's going to be later this year. And yeah, we want you to have one platform that combines everything, and you just have fun working with the new workflows instead of struggling with technology.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Ralph. And tomorrow, Ralph will be here as well, right, Ralph?
Yeah.
Okay. So for, I don't know, those of you who wants to join again, or they have any questions, or they would like somebody to join, you can join us at the same time, basically tomorrow.
Exactly. So tomorrow we're going to have more details about the 3D design, using the CBCT and using the prep. See you tomorrow.
Okay, I'm gonna stay here for 1 minute more because I do
Okay.
have questions, and
Yeah. Mhm.
I will close. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.